Okay, let's dive right in. We're about to sink our teeth into a topic that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie, but believe it or not, it's totally real. I'm talking about 3D food printing, and we're going to explore how this wild tech is changing, well, everything, from space travel all the way to healthcare.
I mean, seriously, could your next steak dinner or pizza night literally come out of a printer? It sounds pretty out there, right? But you've got to stick with me on this, because what seemed like just a cool gimmick a few years ago, it's blowing up into a massive industry that could, no joke, put a printer right next to the microwave in your kitchen.
All right, so to really get a handle on just how powerful this tech is, we need to go to the most extreme environment you can imagine, where every single resource is precious. Yep, we're talking about space. Let's look at how 3D printing is tackling some huge challenges for astronauts.
So, just picture this, a mission to Mars. You're looking at a 5-year trip, round trip. The freeze-dried space food they have now, it only lasts about 5 years, so you're cutting it really close. But here's where 3D printing comes in. It uses these powdered ingredients, all your proteins, carbs, nutrients, packed into little cartridges that have a shelf life of, get this, up to 30 years. That is an absolute game changer for any kind of long-haul space mission.
And it's not just about, basic survival. It's about keeping things human. Can you imagine being millions of miles from Earth and being able to print a hot, fresh pizza? That's a massive morale boost. And this isn't science fiction anymore. Back in 2019, they actually bioprinted the very first steak from cow cells on the International Space Station. Oh, and on top of all that, because you only print what you need, you can slash food waste by up to 30%. That's absolutely critical when you're in a tiny, closed system like a spaceship. Okay, so we've seen what this thing can do, but how in the world does it actually work? How do you go from a computer file to something you can eat? Let's pull back the curtain and see what's going on under the hood.
You know, the whole process is actually pretty straightforward when you break it down. First, it all starts with a digital design on a computer. Then, you pop in these food-safe cartridges filled with what they call inks, which could be anything from a potato puree to chocolate, you name it. From there, a little nozzle, the extrusion head, squeezes out the ink, building the food layer by layer. The best way to picture it, it's like a super precise robotic pastry bag. And then, of course, once it's printed, you might need to bake it or fry it up to finish it off.
Right, but not all food has the same texture, so you need different tools for the job. The most common method is called extrusion. That's perfect for pastes and purees. Then there's something called binder jetting. This is really cool. It uses a liquid to basically glue together powdered ingredients like sugar. That's how they make those mind-blowingly detailed candies. And finally, you've got inkjet printing, which is all about the fine details, like drawing a logo with food coloring or putting the sauce on a pizza in a perfect spiral. But look, this stuff isn't just for astronauts and high-end chefs in fancy labs. Not at all. It's already making a huge difference right here on Earth and in some really surprising places. I'm talking about hospitals and even your local grocery store.
And you better believe this isn't some niche hobby. We're talking serious money here. The market hit over $500 million in 2024, and it's forecasted to absolutely skyrocket to almost $10 billion by 2033. I mean, that kind of explosion in growth tells you everything. This has gone from a cool idea to a full-blown, serious industry.
And here's where it gets really powerful, just on a human level. For elderly people or anyone with a condition called dysphagia, which makes it hard to swallow, meals are often just mush, unappetizing purees. And because of that, a lot of people just stop eating, which leads to malnutrition. 3D printing is completely changing this. It takes that same safe, pureed food and prints it to look like the real deal, a carrot that actually looks like a carrot. Just that visual cue makes a world of difference. It brings dignity back to mealtime and can cut down on people refusing meals by as much as 30%. It's incredible.
And hey, just in case you're still thinking, okay, that's cool, but it's all in a lab somewhere, think again. In 2023, we hit a major milestone. 3D printed food officially arrived on supermarket shelves. It made the leap. It's not a prototype anymore, it's a product you can actually buy.
And the menu is definitely growing. A company in Austria, Revo Foods, is selling a plant-based salmon fillet. In Spain, another company called Cocuis is pumping out 1,000 tons of plant-based bacon every year. And we're not talking about those old-school mushy veggie burgers. No, these printers can create complex, fibrous textures that really mimic the feel of actual meat. That's a massive deal for the future of alternative proteins and for sustainability.
Okay, so that's what's happening right now. But what's next? Where is this all going? Well, if you thought 3D printing sounded futuristic, buckle up, because we're about to add a fourth dimension to the mix.
So, what on earth is 4D food? It's actually a pretty cool concept. It's just 3D printing plus one extra ingredient, time. We're talking about food that's printed with smart materials, materials that are literally programmed to change. You add a trigger, like heat or water or even light, and the food transforms its shape, its color, maybe even its flavor, all on its own.
Let me give you a perfect example so you can really picture this. Imagine you buy a box of pasta, but inside it's just flat sheets, kind of like little crackers. That would save a ton of space in shipping and packaging, right? But then you drop these flat sheets into boiling water and they automatically fold themselves into spirals or tubes or whatever shape they're supposed to be. That is 4D food in action.
I mean, this just opens up a whole universe of possibilities. Think about it. Food that changes color to let you know when it's perfectly ripe. Or a meal that's designed to release vitamins, or even medicine at a specific time while you're digesting it. Or what about this? Your fitness tracker syncs with your food printer and whips up a meal with the exact nutrients your body needs after that specific workout. This is where food stops being static and becomes totally dynamic and personalized.
So, I'll just leave you with this final thought. As this tech gets faster and cheaper and easier to use, it really feels like it's not a question of if a food printer will become a normal kitchen appliance, but when. And when it does, what's the first thing you're going to print?